Hi everybody, I've got a quick fun little project for you today. I'm sure many of you have seen this before, but I have so many of you email me and ask how I've done this that I thought I'd do this little demo for you guys. And my dear friend Marion has been bugging me to do this for the longest time, so this one's for you, sweetie. Have fun. Okay, today we're going to use your embossing folders, an ink pad, and a rubber brayer, and we're going to get this look that I have here with the ink on the embossing folder, and it really adds dimension and a pop to your relief here, and it makes the embossed image stand out really nicely. And we're going to be using this French script embossing folder. This is the French script by Cuttlebug. You can use anybody's embossing folders, but the examples I have today just happen to be Quick Cuts ones. I'm sorry, not Quick Cuts. They happen to be Cuttlebug ones. This is a Christmas card that I did a few years ago, and this one turned out so pretty. I don't know if you can see how it makes these images stand out, but it really makes your embossed image pop. I like to do it in white, but you can use any color cardstock, any color ink. Just play around with it and see what you get. I've used a pearlescent ink on this one. If you want to use a pigment ink or a chalk ink, those work best. I found that dye ink tends to bubble up and bead up on the plastic, and it doesn't go down as nicely. Just like with your clear stamps, it's better to use pigment ink or chalk ink. You could probably use StazOn, but it's going to stain your embossing folder real bad, and I don't think you want to see that. These inks, if you use dark colors, it will stain your embossing folder, but it washes off and it doesn't affect how it works at all. Here's another one. This is Floral Fantasy by Cuttlebug. And this is one of my favorites. I use this one all the time. I've used a bright yellow ink, so it makes that white really pop. This is one of the Christmas ones from Cuttlebug this last year with the little row of Christmas trees. On most of these, I use the negative portion of the embossing folder, and you can use either side, and I'll show you what that does here. This is one using, this is the negative portion and this is the positive portion done with the ink. One that has an all-over design like this is a lot easier to use on the positive side. But if you get one like this that has this big expanse of bare area here, it's really hard to put the ink just on these little row of Christmas trees. You're going to wind up with ink in places you don't want it to be, and then you don't usually find out until after you've done the whole process and opened it up and go, ugh, I didn't mean to do that. So I stick to the negative portion of these, but either way is just fine, and you can see it turns out just beautiful either way you do it. This is Winter House by Cuttlebug. I just used a dark blue ink in the background so it looks like a snowy winter scene. Looks like a little snowy village. It just turns out, I love this technique. I think it turns out so beautiful. This is a little one of the little ones. Sizzix always has one big one and 2 or 3 little ones that come coordinating with the set, and this is one of those little tags here. I think this is still a Cuttlebug one, but it gives a new life to those little ones and makes them look like a lot more than they really are. Isn't that pretty? And then there's the last one I'll show you. This is one where it has a big expanse of this area, and this is still the negative portion that I used, but it does, even with the pigment or chalk ink, it will get blotchy in these areas, but I think that adds to the look and makes it look really distressed. So just play and see what you come up with, and I'm sure you'll really be amazed like I am every time I open that embossing folder. Okay, so to get started, you're going to need cardstock. I've cut mine to 1/4 page, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I've trimmed it to the mat size, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So I don't have to trim it later, but you can always trim it down after you run it through the embossing folder. I'm going to use Versamagic chalk ink. This one's Pink Petunia, a nice vintagey pink feminine color. Here's your Cuttlebug embossing folder. This is the French script. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. And you're going to need a hard rubber brayer. We sell these in the store, so if you need a brayer, we've got them at scrapatavadoo.com. I'll put a link up on the trailer at the end of this demo. This is a large one, and this is a small one. There's a medium one also, and I like to use the large one because it covers more area quicker, And the small one you can use, but you have to go back and re-ink it a couple times to cover the whole embossing folder. So I'm going to use the large one today. And you're going to need a die cut machine. Whichever one you use, it's just fine. I happen to like the Big Shot. You can use your Cuttlebug or your Wizard, whichever one, but I like the Big Shot. I found that that's the best one for me. It's the most universal and takes everybody's product, so I don't have to switch back and forth to machines. This one, the Big Shot, takes everybody's dies and embossing folders, so that's just the one that I use the most. So you're going to take your ink pad, and it helps if you have a really juicy ink pad. It just helps load your brayer faster. I've already got a little ink on my brayer just to speed things up, but you want to make sure you get it well covered and an even layer of ink on your embossing folder here. And I'm sorry, on your brayer, not your embossing folder. You got to put an even layer of ink on the embossing folder too, but that's not what I'm doing right now. So there we go. I think that's good and covered. And one thing, this is a tip, and I learned this the hard way, always cover your ink pad up when you're done. I've ruined so many projects by having the stupid ink pad open, and you lay something down and it gets usually black or brown ink all over something pink or light blue, and oh, it just makes a mess. I'm so mad at myself when I do that. Okay, you're going to take your embossing folder. Like I said, this is the French script from Cuttlebug. And you're going to open it, and the where you want to put the ink is on the flatter side. You can feel that this side is flat. This one here has the writing raised over here. So we're going to use this negative portion today. And you're going to roll it just like rolling paint on a wall. There you go. You want to get it just a nice good layer of ink on your embossing folder. If it's splotchy in areas, that just adds to the look of it. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. So just play and see what you come up with. There you go. Okay. Like I said, I've already got this trimmed to the matte size, so I don't have to trim any later. But you can always trim it after you emboss it. Now you want to hold your paper down and close your embossing folder carefully as not to smudge it. And you're going to take your die cut machine. I even changed my pads for you. Put some fresher pads in. The ones I use every day are so warped and so icky looking. I get my use out of the pads. I get my money's worth, that's for sure. I add the embossing folder in with the folded edge first, because I've put it in this way before and it buckled on me one time, and I don't want that to happen again. So I put it in with the folded edge first, and we're going to stick it in here. I'm going to run it, oops, sorry about that, back here. I'm going to run it forward and backwards just to make sure I've got that ink squished in there really good. Okay, let me get rid of this. And are you ready? Here you go. And there it is. And isn't that absolutely beautiful? And it takes minutes to do. I think I made this little card here in 5 or 10 minutes, really, and it looks like so much more. But that's our little project for today. I hope you guys had fun, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.